Hello everybody, I'm DerTebbers. Welcome to the fourth quarter mod award show. No funny open because literally my frame rate is dying with all of the mods in this game except for 3, which physically cause the game to crash if I try to load them, so I can't do anything super funny. Instead, we're going to look at these various categories and say which one's the best, which one's not so good, which ones are okay, and which ones, with a little bit of mod editing, you could probably fix and use. It will be 2 episodes, one right now and one in a couple hours. Yeah, same day. Look at that, same day service for you. I'm like Amazon. And, or Amazon. Ooh, I'm Amazon. And then, everybody, in a few days, Saturday, for those of you that are watching this on release day, we will have the mods of 2015 for Farm Sim 15. You might want to tune into that. You also might want to tune into a very special video going live on January 1. All right, let's get started. Let's get this party started up in here. The category of placeables. They don't even all fit in the screen. We've got the giant Vespa windmill. We've got the Bebop drone thingy-majiggy that's hovering right there. We have this, what is this thing? This is a storage building that also has wood chip storage inside of it. We have this standard storage building, which some of you have seen on another series I've been doing. We have this small little garage. We have this older looking structure, which goes really well on the Farm Sim Gold map. We have this placeable wood chipper thing, and we have 2 placeable trigger points. Left one is for seeds, right one's for fertilizer. This placeables is always a very, very difficult category to do because it's really hard to screw up a placeable, quite honestly. The Bebop drone, don't even worry about it. If you really want it, it's fine, but it really doesn't do anything. It just sits there. It's whatever. That garage over there, that's an okay structure if you have like an older, like small farm type thing. It's fine. The wood chip storage, the one problem I have with the wood chip storage is right there. That's solid on the top, but you can see through it on the bottom. So it's like, and remember, I don't update my mods ever. So it's whatever I grabbed. It might have been updated. I don't know. You see I use that in my Let's Play, for those of you who don't watch my Let's Play, so it actually, I kind of like that one. This one here, the broken up one, love its look and texturing. Very good. These 2 triggers, they work. That guy works. Oh, I forgot the honey, the bee thing. I almost lost the bee thing. The bee things are also here. Yeah. Little bee things. I think those ones are a little bit OP in their stock form. I modified them for my Volga map. And this thing, I never got this thing to work. I know there's an updated version, and I've heard the updated version actually works. I couldn't get the fuel trigger to actually work, so use that one with caution. I'd say the placeable wood chipper, use with caution. I'd go and see if there's an updated one, and then potentially use it. Ignore the Bebop drone. Sadly, I would say I'd give a pass to this structure, the wood chip structure, mainly because of the pass-through. Everything else, I'd say give it a go. I see nothing wrong with either of these 2 triggers here. Nothing really wrong with the Vespa, other than it's a massive windmill. But, I mean, that's more realistic than the one that comes in-game. And then the 3 structures there, very good. Beehives, I would say fine if you do a little edit or if you don't mind them being OP. Either way. So placeables, generally a very good category. Yay, placeables! The categories of Baling Tech. Now this is actually made up of multiple categories. So first we have the baler, which all we had this time was this small baler, which isn't necessarily a bad little piece of kit. In the bale trailers, we had the AW bale trailer here, and then we had it's called a truck trailer, but it's basically the same thing. It's a bale trailer for your lorry or semi or 5th wheel truck. Then we had the windrower, which was the oxbow here, which is a very nice windrower. And then we had the Agramzet, yeah, Agrozet. Is it on there? No, I can't remember. And it's down on my other screen and I can't see it. This is actually both a windrower and a tedder, which is a really awesome little cute thing to do. So I kind of had to think about this one, and honestly, they're all winners. I mean, the AW trailer and the truck trailer, they're equal to each other. I believe they're even the same mod author. I forgot to look. They do the same thing, but they have different functionality. Obviously, the AW connects to the back of a vehicle, so a tractor, whereas the other one connects to a truck. So they're functionally the same thing. I would even say just get both of them into your game, because then you could choose one or the other. The Oxbow wins because it didn't have any competition truly. Price is a little bit high. There was a debate in my comments about that price point. I believe the price point is because it's in dollars, but then when you look at it in euros, there's that conversion factor, whatever. It's not a bad piece of equipment. It's pretty nice. The small baler, it's a nice little simple small baler. Get the trailer that goes with it, so the little baler will go poof, right into the bale trailer. That would be really good. I never bothered to go and get it, but hey, there you go. And then this thing is just amazing. If you have a small farm, this is perfect. It's one piece of kit that's going to do everything. And the best part is it's something that you actually have to interact with outside of the tractor, which I like being able to do that, especially with old time equipment. So the bale categories of windrower and windrower tedder and baler and bale trailer, they're all winners. I don't think you could go wrong with any of them. It just depends on what you need for your farm. Sugar beets is something that's sort of, I wouldn't say forgotten, but it's often a lesser thing. This Grim topper, it's an addition. I mean, it is a mod that will do the same thing as the in-game topper. It's not truly a harvester. I questioned at the time its functionality because you could put the in-game topper on the front of your tractor, and I felt that gave me more functionality. It's certainly something that you could look at if you're looking to top a large field with maybe a hired worker or something like that. I can't even remember. I'm trying to remember if hired workers worked, but I don't remember. Certainly something you could course play out. I don't think it's terrible, but I mean, I'm going to give it an award because it's the only one in its category. I mean, what do you do? It works. It's functional. Yeah, it's something. It's a modded sugar beet topper. Give it a go if you need it. This thing firmly sits in the category of miscellaneous, and I would avoid it like the bubonic plague. It's wobbly. It doesn't work as you would expect. Its hookup is kind of weird. Its hookup is technically a hook trigger against the chassis. It's not against the arm for the tow package, so it actually can connect in a way that lifts the back of this thing off the ground instead of connecting against the tow arm, so you could raise the object that you're towing. So it's not great. It flops around like a dead fish. I hate that the flag flutters constantly. I see what they were trying to do, but I don't like it. There's better ways to handle the same sort of thing if you want to rescue equipment. So just avoid this thing. The Krampe kippers, these half-pipe trailers, they are great in that they're working functional grain transport trailers. We haven't had a lot of grain transport trailers. We've had a lot of grain transport trucks. Really, trailers come a dime a dozen in farm sims, so it's kind of hard to pick some really great trailers. There's hundreds of trailers that run through the different mod websites. So to get a pair of really decent trailers is pretty nice. These guys get an award. They're the only ones we did. They're actually also very nice looking, and you can color them if I remember correctly. Yeah, you can color them. Duh. Red is the normal Krampe color. So there you go. If you're looking for some additional grain transport trailers, these ones are certainly ones to check out. This is two categories in one. It's the telehandler category with the JCB, and it's the front loader category with the Kirovets. They're obviously going to win. Now, if you go on to the link that's on the video to the final list for fourth quarter, you will not find the Kirovets listed anywhere. It's actually listed in the forestry pack for the Russian forestry pack. It was included as part of that, but I broke it out because it's so useful in other areas, and they gave you a bunch of attachments to go in various areas. Both of these are fine. Now with the JCB, quite honestly, functionally, it's no different than the New Holland that you get as a free DLC from Giants. If you prefer JCB, you can pick up the JCB. Otherwise, you can't go wrong with the New Holland. And I'd probably just stick with the New Holland just because it reduces the number of mods in my game. But you're not going to go wrong with that. And the Kirovets, it's just a great front loader because it's really good. It's really good. And because of the construction of it, let me just cover that. Because of the construction of it, because all the weight sits behind the lift point, you're not going to have problems where it tries to lift the rear of the Kirovets very easily. I mean, that's a lot of weight. That's an entire engine back there. And it seems to be modeled relatively well. So both get an award. Check them out if you need them. The category of sprayer. Now, this was an interesting category, and it was interesting mainly because we had the pivot sprayer, which is an interesting piece of equipment. We also had the Amazon UX 11200, or 11200, I guess, the Libej Montag 1700, and then the wheeled, drivable Uniport Jacko Star 2500. They all will do the job, but here's some things to keep in mind. The Montag looks silly if it's not attached to its seeder, and I couldn't find the seeder as easily as I found the Montag, so meh. The Amazon and the Uniport have some serious log errors in them, so if you can clean up their logs, they'd be fine. I'm not really sold on the Jacko. I definitely will look at if I can clean up the Amazon myself. Both decent, but I'd lean towards the Amazon. And then we had the pivot irrigation. The pivot irrigation is a difficult creature to deal with because it requires actual XML editing to make it work. It's a relatively simple task. If you don't know how to do that, go back to I don't know what episode. I'll put a comment down here to tell you exactly which episode, but I actually go through how to do it verbally. It works. It's pretty cool kit. I'm using it in the Volga region. It's very good if you have the soil mod because it allows you to water your fields. It does require you to think about your field sizes. I only put one out here, but there's multiple sizes you can put out here. So when I thought about it, I'm going to give as much as it, even though it has a minor log error, I'm going to give this category to the pivot irrigation because it adds something to the game that the other three don't. If you don't want the pivot irrigation, I would say grab the Amazon, try to clean up the log, and the Amazon would be your next best bet. The Jacko is okay, and then the Montag. If you find the cedar, get it and attach it to the cedar, and then it would work. But there you go. I'm giving it to the pivot irrigation, even though it does have some minor log errors. I think it's not enough to actually cause real problems. So there you go. Pivot irrigation for sprayers. All right, the category of semis. I can't actually move at all because I'm recording at 5 frames per second. It is a slideshow. That's how bad these semis are. And which semis are the problem? The ones on the right. I very conveniently lined up the ones on the right as the problem children, the ones on the left, not so problem children. So on the right, we have the Ford semi all the way down at the end. Next to that, we have the Freightliner. You can sort of see its nose sticking out. The red thing is the Kenworth T600B, I believe. Then we have a Peterbilt there somewhere. Yeah, 380. No, that's not the 387. I don't know where the heck that Peterbilt came from. Oh, that Peterbilt was included as part of a pack. Then the blue Kenworth came as part of a pack as well. And then we had another Kenworth something or another. All those ones, don't bother. They're murdering my frame rate. So I'm going to get rid of them, and then we'll talk about the ones that are good-ish. All right. So when I was selling that, I realized one of the trucks was hidden behind the others. That's that International. That came off the International truck and trailer. I separated the truck and trailer, and I do this from time to time where I actually separate truck and trailer because I feel like they're physically different enough. And that International is also in the boo category. So I'm going to make it go away. So maybe my frame rate will actually hit 30. That's my hope. And then we'll talk about the guys on the left-hand side, which are trucks that I think you might consider. Sort of. Not really, but maybe. All right, so the International's gone, and I've sort of recovered my frame rate. All right, so what we have left, we have the Peterbilt 387 on the left there. We have a pack of Kenworth K100 flat tops. We have a Ural out of a Ural pack, and we have a Gauze out of the Gauze pack. The thing is, this quarter Russian equipment was very, very good, but I have to take the Ural pack and the Gauze pack as a whole, pack. I have to look at it as the whole pack. I will say, if you're looking for a semi-lorry, the Pete 387, there's nothing really super wrong with it, but it's also not amazing. It's a decent piece of equipment. Now, the cool thing with these Kenworths is when you get into a Kenworth, you have all kinds of options of things you can add to your Kenworth. So I can add a bumper color on there. I can put a wing on it. I can put wing number 2 on it. I can put a aperture thing on the back. Aperture 2 puts the little things on the covering up my fuel tank. I can put a little visor. Press the right button. It puts the visor on there. I can put the little chrome bits on the side there. I can put on some bull bars. I can put on a bull horn. I can put on a headache rack if I flip the truck around. So now I've got my own custom truck like that. Now it will reset every time you load the game in, but it lets you kind of stylize your truck. I kind of wish you had a way to make that selection when you bought the truck and it would keep it, but I understand why it doesn't do that. The Ural and the Gauze are very competent, good vehicles. They're going to do a good job, but they're not amazing. I mean, they're nice pieces of equipment, and the guys are positioned in it like he's actually holding the shifter. I like that. If I can get around and so he gets in the Gauze. The Gauze puts you in the cab initially, and if I flip around, you see he's got his hands on there. He looks like he's a very competent gentleman in his in his truck. But when I look at it, those are pretty basic. Same is true of the Peterbilt. It is very basic. If I get in the Pete, I mean, there's no add-ons. It's a pretty basic interior. I do have trees coming into it, but that's not the fault of the mod. So they're basics. When it comes down to it, to Kenworth add something, you can put all this kit on your Kenworth. So by a whisker, I'm going to give it to the Kenworth because it's in this nice line of trucks, bunch of different color combinations, bunch of things you can add on to it. I would say I would consider the Ural and the Gauze if you have any sort of Russian maps. And if you really want like an American road map, you probably are going to pick up the Peterbilt. There's nothing really wrong with those other three, but I'm going to give it to the Kenworths. Previously, I've called this category mining, and I've changed that designation to construction because that's really what this really is. And I've actually retroactively, you'll find out, changed a bunch of stuff to construction, but hey, whatever. This category is missing one of the mods, and I'll talk about that one in a minute, but we had the Liebherr crawler crane that came out of Giant's Destruction Company Gold. You actually can use that thing. It had this unit here, which is a attacher. We'll talk about that in a minute. We have two JCBs. One is designed to work with a controller, and one's designed to work with a keyboard. The one on the right, keyboard. One on the left, controller. As simple as that. And then all this kit here, the two bridges, the building, the fuel thing, and the generator, that's all part of the Fun Lift pack. Not what it sounds like, believe it or not. And then another thing we had was the road graders, which are in beta. So they're not here because they're in beta, but they're also not here because when you have them in the game and you save your game and you go to reload your game, you can't reload your game until you go into the XML and physically remove them. They're beta. Okay, that can be a problem, but I'm not too broken up about that. They're beta items. Fine. All right, these guys here annoy the crud out of me. I think they're still betas, but they didn't say it on their name. My biggest problem is, once I get inside, oh my gosh, I've lost an arm. I mean, seriously? Seriously? And there's other things that just annoy the crud out of me. Is it the T? No. Is it the U? No, that's the lights. Farmer. It's 7. I can get an arm back by pressing 7. And then I go away. I mean... It's just odd enough. Oh, I have to open the door. 7. There. I can get out. Yay. It let me out. Hooray. I think there's something there, but I think it needs a lot of work before it gets there. I'd watch them if you really want JCB backhoes, but other than that, I'd pass on these ones. And they also have some major log errors. Haha. Okay, the crawler crane. The crawler crane actually is pretty clean. I like the crawler crane, but I like the crawler crane only when you get other things. The crawler crane by itself, not so useful. There are some buckets you can get from some Russian equipment. T-178, I think, maybe. When you go to the site where the crane is, it'll actually tell you where you can get the buckets for it. The buckets will add a lot to the crane, but what really adds to the crane is this lifter here. Now, it does have a limit of 20,000 kilograms. I do know for certain that it can't lift stuff like a big Fent or anything like that. I tried. But it can lift smaller pieces of equipment, and that's great. You can actually load equipment onto trailers that don't have ramps, and that's actually pretty cool, and I really like that when paired with the crawler crane. The other thing is this fun lift pack. When I first got it, I thought it was just going to be that. Just a pack of random stuff that doesn't actually do anything, but in reality, it's got a lot here. Yes, the building itself doesn't do anything. The generator doesn't do anything. That's fine. But the fuel tank does. It's a standard fuel tank. It is a fuel trigger. You will be able to fuel with it. The bridges, I talked about it when I reviewed these things. The bridges are big because if you're on a map that's either a small map where you have a lot of gullies to cross, or if you're on something like, remember Hagenstat with Farm Sim 13 and the Hagenstat Reloaded with Farm Sim 15, you have gullies that separate your fields. Well, you can use these bridges, pop them down with the crane, and then you can drive across. Really great. Opens up some other avenues of things you can do with the game, and I like that. So in this category, I say watch the road grader if you really want a road grader and see when it comes out of beta. Other than that, avoid it. I would avoid the JCBs. Watch them if you really, really want some backhoes. Other than that, the crawler crane, the lifter thing that's laying on the ground right there, and the fun lift pack, I'd say grab it. Grab it. Give it a try. It is a little bit fiddly hooking up the crane to the fun pack things. You have to be just perfect, but once you find the perfect spot, it's easy enough. I mean, you still miss it every other time, which I do, but I think it's worth you checking out. And definitely they're the best of the construction pack with construction things, which, well, that's almost all the construction things. Sorry, I left the feeder on the right out here in the field while I was doing other stuff, and you can't even tell what color it is anymore. Jeez. Oh, the category of feeders. So we had 2 feeders. We have the Faraboli Overmix 2TH21. That's the one that looks like it's been bathing with some pigs. And the other one is the Emily Melodis Mixer. Both of these will work wonderfully. Now, I'm going to give this category to the Faraboli. And the reason I'm going to give the category to the Faraboli is because the Emily will require you to go and get a certain small baler. Now, we might have done that. We might have found a small baler, but The Faraboli also has other fruits that it can mix in. So if you need to mix in addition to the usual straw, hay, and silage, if you also need to add in root vegetables will also be mixed in. So you can use it for more than just the standard. The Emily requires you to get small bales because you can't use the large scale bales with the Emily. But they're both going to work. I'm just giving it to the Faraboli because you don't need to buy extra equipment like you do with the Emily. But if you already have a small baler, the Emily is certainly something to consider. The category of manure. We really had this, just the FB Bonzinis. These are very nice. Interesting that they also will fling grain, which I found to be an interesting design decision. They will transport grain and they will dump grain, but they will also fling grain like they fling poo. It doesn't really do anything to your fields, but interesting design decision. These technically will transport grain, so they are sort of competitors to the Krampe kippers, but because they are designed as poo flingers, that's really what they are. Nothing wrong with them. Give them an award. They're the only one in the category. They did a good job. The always fun category of grain transport, which also includes, well, I say grain transport, but I also include within that chaff or anything that comes off your fields. Pretty much this entire group of vehicles applies. We've got the Volvo F12. We have a man tipper, not tipper, but it's got the back thing imagey. We've got a Gauze open bed. We have a Gauze overloader. We have three Urals. Two of them are chaff Urals, and one is just a standard grain Ural. And then we have the Zills. I got it right this time. The Zills at the end. Let's start with the crap. The crap is the Volvo. The Volvo is an absolute pile of garbage, so don't even bother with it. I think I know which mod author that is, partially based on the stupid picture in the back of the truck, but also by its behaviors. Just don't even bother. The Man, I don't like the Man because it doesn't matter what color you choose for its little tipper thing in the back there, you're going to get black on black on black and not be able to see anything. So, boo. Don't like that either. The Gauze, so the 53, which is this one here, this one has some minor log errors, very fixable log errors. It also has this beautiful engine startup sound. It's just so Russian right there. This beautiful engine startup sound. And you saw that it also has various doors, and the body can open like that, and all kinds of things. So it looks really nice. I would say clean it up, and it's worth checking out. I had struggles with the overloader to get the overloader to work. I did get it to work. I can understand its uses, sort of, but at the same time, I can just go get an actual overloader and get more capacity. I mean, it is cheap, but at that same time, I know I just go with this guy's. Actually, I wouldn't. I'd go with a different vehicle here. The Urals are all nice-looking pieces of equipment. They don't really have much in the way of extras on them. Actually, none of these really have much in the way, other than that Gauze, have much in the way of extras, but they're nice. You can flip this thing around when you need to switch sides that you're getting your chaff on, which is pretty cool. These guys are useful for whatever you need them to do. However, note that you do get an interior first view, but that's not necessarily bad. I would say if you want any of these, you can't go wrong going Russian. So the Zill pack, we have the Zill Semi, we have these two Zills, we have one more Zill in logging. The Urals, we have these three Urals and the Urals down in Semi. I'd say both those packs are worth grabbing if you want this kind of equipment. Realizing if you don't want Russian equipment, you're kind of out of luck this time. The 2 gauzes, I'd probably lean towards the 53. Just clean it up in the logs. It's nice. I love its startup sound. I love the extras it has with it. Avoid the man and the Volvo FH piece of garbage. So there you go. In the fruit transport category, we're going Russian with the Zills, the Urals, and the gauzes.